So I haven't made a tier list video in a very long time, so today I thought I'd do that. Now usually when I make these videos, I usually rank them by investability at their current market prices. However, today I'm going to switch it up and rank them based on just the set as a whole and how good of a set it is. And I will be using some of my opinions and also the opinions of the market, and I'm just going to talk about each of these sets and rank them of why I believe they're there. Like I said, it's a combination of my own opinions and also based on what I've seen with the market. So let's just get into it. Now, before I start, just want to say I know they're all ETBs here. They're just supposed to represent the set. I couldn't find a tier list made that had all these sets here. I couldn't find any that had Deaths and Rivals or Dreams Together. So I'm just using this. Yeah, it's just ETBs, but it's just the set. So let's get started. So first here we have Scarlet and Violet base. Now there's two ETBs. I'm just going to use the red one. So like I said, I'm using my own opinion and based on what I'm seeing with the market. For a base set, if I had to compare this to a base set compared to all the other eras, this would be an S tier. This is the best base set of all time. The artworks are really nice in here, but compared to everything else in Scarlet and Violet, which is why I'm making this tier list video, it's just all these sets, I'm comparing it to Scarlet and Violet sets. I'd have to put this, I guess I should also consider some value here. I would put it in terms of artwork at B, but since there's really no value in here, there's really no expensive card, I'm going to put it as mid. I don't think it's trash, so I'm not putting it at dog, but I don't think it's better than B. I think mid is pretty fair for this base set based on everything else. Like, it has great artwork, but there's no outstanding card in here. Even though there's some other sets that aren't as valuable, they have really popular Pokemon. This set doesn't really have, that going for it. It's decent. It's all right. For a base set, I think it makes sense to put it as mid. I don't think it belongs in dog. I think there's only really one set in here that is at that level. You can probably take a guess. Yeah, I would say this is just mid for what it is. It's pretty good for a base set. Now, next here, Paldea Evolved. So this might be a hot take because I think some people would immediately put this as S tier. I know, it has the Magikarp. I think the PSA 10 is pretty expensive. It has the Tyranitar, the Raichu, all these other cards. It's a really good main set, but there's so many good sets in Scarlet and Violet. I feel like if I put this in S tier, there'd be too many in S tier, and I feel like that's unfair. Honestly, in my opinion, I'm putting this at A. Hot take, possibly, because I know a lot of people like Paldea Evolved, but when you compare it to a lot of the other sets in this era, there's a lot of sets that are way more expensive and that are a lot more popular. Paldea Evolved is still a good set, but I'm just putting it at A tier, which, like I said, might be a hot take, but I think there's a lot of other sets that belong in S tier above Paldea Evolved, so I think this is pretty fair for where it's at. Now next, Obsidian Flames. So Obsidian's very interesting. I've always disliked the set because I'm like, okay, why is it this expensive? It just has Charizard. It's not, there's no expensive cards in here. The booster box is super expensive. Makes no sense to me. It just proves Charizard. I know Darkness Ablaze maybe, is also another example. I don't want to put this here, but just based on the performance we've seen with this set, it not being that expensive, it just has the Charizard premium. It's still a thing. I'm going to put it reluctantly at B. I would put it at mid. Maybe, honestly, in my opinion, I'd put it, just for my personal taste, I'd put this probably below base set because I like the base set better. But because of the general market and what we've seen, I'm putting it as B for a set because it seems like a lot of people like it. It's a Charizard set. The pullers are pretty easy. I'm just putting it at B, even though it kind of goes against what I want to believe, but the market says differently. So kind of maybe a weird take, but I have to take that into consideration based on the performance. So next, 151. 151, very obvious placement, S tier. I mean, there's really nothing much to say. This set has first gen Pokemon, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. The sealed product, very expensive. UPCs are like $350. Pokemon Center ETBs are like $450. Regular ETBs are like $220. This set is very expensive in terms of sealed product. Cards are a little bit of a different story. The most expensive cards, like low 200s, is the Charizard, recently has gone down. Still, overall, very popular set. It's going to be a set that people in the future will look back on in Scarlet and Violet. I feel like 151 will sort of be one of the most memorable sets or nostalgic sets from this era, maybe besides Prismatic or possibly Destined Rivals. But I gotta put this at S tier because it just has to be there, right? So next we have Paradox Rift. So Paradox Rift is interesting. It's always been cheap, and even I guess now it's not so cheap. It's like $200 for a booster box, but the cards inside have never been super expensive. I believe the most expensive card's about $100. It's decent. I'm gonna put this above Obsidian at B. I don't think it deserves an A, to be honest, because I don't think it really comes close to Paldea Evolved. I think B is pretty fair for this set. I think it's decent. It's not gonna be a set that's gonna skyrocket at any point. It'll always be a decent performer, and definitely when you could have bought this for $80 for the longest time, it was a good buy. But now at 200, I know I'm not really trying to consider value here, but it's just an all right set for what it is. It's just okay. So I'm just putting it at B. I think that's fair. Maybe some people would put it at A, but I feel like, out of all the other sets, I feel like this is a B tier, just in my opinion. Next is Paldean Fates. Now, Paldean Fates recently has gotten really popular. The Bubble Mew, the Charizard, the Gardevoir. But the thing is that when this set first came out, the Bubble Mew wasn't even that expensive. It wasn't even the most expensive card. I believe the Charizard was actually the most expensive card when this first came out. I think Paldean Fates, it'll be interesting to see where the Bubble Mew ends up after this whole kind of market sort of slows down. But because the Bubble Mew, and I feel like this whole, if it does go down a decent amount after this whole market, I feel like just the amount of popularity there was with that card, I'd put Paldean Fates just because, honestly, the Bubble Mew, because other than the Gardevoir, the Charizard, and Bubble Mew, there's really not that much in this set. It's just a lot of shiny cards. I'd put this at bottom A because of that Bubble Mew, specifically just the Bubble Mew. That's literally the only card, the reason why. If it didn't have the Bubble Mew, I'd probably put this low B tier, but I think the Bubble Mew really is going to carry this, and I think the set, just because of that, I'd put it bottom A. Now, next is Temporal. So Temporal is a good set. I've always said this about Temporal. I think it's better than Paradox. I know Paradox is, I believe, a little bit more expensive than Temporal right now by like a small margin, but I think as a whole, Temporal is going to age better as a set. I believe there's nicer artworks. I feel like there's just more desirable just cards in there. And I really believe that it's a better set. I know it's maybe controversial, but I'm going to put this in front of Paradox Rift. I don't think it's really an A tier set because, it hasn't performed crazy. The cards are extremely expensive, but I think it's a good set. So I'm going to put it top B tier, and I think that's pretty fair. Next, Twilight. So Twilight, I would say I put it above Paldean Fates because it's a deeper set. And just the cards, very strong. The Greninja, very strong. The Trainers, very expensive, very strong. Has an Eevee in there. I think it is better than Paldean Fates just because it's a deeper set. The Greninja card, I believe, is just about as expensive as the Bubble Mew. And it just has more going for it other than Paldean Fates. It's like a few cards. Twilight has a lot more chases. And just for that reasoning, I'm going to put it above, Paldean Fates. I feel like it's pretty fair. Some people might put Paldean Fates maybe a little bit higher because I know a lot of people like the Bubble Mew, but I think Twilight is better than Paldean Fates because it just is a, deeper set. So here we go. The only set that belongs in dog, Shrouded. Do you guys remember at the end of, I think last year, there was so much hype for Shrouded Fable. I know these were like a decent pick at like $30 because at one point you could have bought these ETBs at $30, but the set is not good, guys. Go to TCG Player right now. Look at the sales volume for this set, for the ETB. Mind you, the ETB is like $5 above MSRP. Look at the sales volume. It's atrocious. Why? Because nobody liked it. The set's trash. I don't care. There was so much hype going around it. Like, oh, this is going to be a sleeper set. No, it's not. It's not a sleeper set. Maybe it was a decent pickup at, like I said, at $30. But look at the sales at $50. No one wants it at that price. So this belongs all the way bottom. It's the worst set. I don't really. This is no sleeper set talk. Like it's not. It wasn't like back in the Sword and Shield where it was maybe like chilling or something. No, this is not a sleeper play. This is not a sleeper set. It's garbage. So I'm putting Shrouded at bottom. It belongs there and it's staying there. I've never owned a Shrouded product and I never will. I don't think I've ever even held a Shrouded product. I don't like this set. I think it belongs at the bottom. It's trash. It's the worst set in Scarlet Violet by far. Next, we have Stellar Crown. Now, Stellar Crown, it's an interesting one because I talk about it all the time. When this set came out, nobody cared for it. No one even talked about it. But look at the performance this has had since it's been released. It's a relatively new main set, and it's just as expensive as the older ones. Even though the cards in here, they're not extremely expensive. But what does it have going for it? Other than Terapagos, which is the main featured card, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Starter Pokemon, that's all you need here, right? First gen, that's all you need here. I think those are really carrying the set, because other than those two cards, there's really not that much that's desirable. But I gotta put this, I think it's really hard to put this behind Obsidian. I would put it above Obsidian because of those starters. Obsidian does have the Charizard in it, but I think, the starters, I don't know. This might be a hot take. I think I think Stellar does have more value than Obsidian, so I'm gonna put it here. You know what? It's whatever. People might put Obsidian a little bit higher. I'm putting Stellar Crown above it because the starter Pokemon, even though the other stuff isn't really that sought after. Terapagos is still like a it's a $50 card. I'm putting this here just because I think Obsidian is such just a mess set in my opinion. I'm literally only putting it at B because the market generally is showing that Obsidian's like a decent set or whatever. So I'm putting this in front of Obsidian just because. So next here we have Surging Sparks. Gotta put this at an S tier. Still, even though it's not as hyped up, there's still a decent amount of strength with the boxes. About I think 10 to 20 are getting sold every single day. The price point right now I believe is at $250, $260. Kind of jumps in between those prices. I think Surging Sparks, even with Destined Rivals coming out, it's still going to be one of the best main sets, unless obviously in the future we get some other stuff. But so far, I would put Surging at least top 3 main sets. So this got to go into S tier. I don't know if I'd put it higher than 151 because 151 is just that nostalgic set. So I believe right here is pretty fair where it's at. So next, we have Prismatic. This has to go at the top. I know people are going to argue 151's a better set or whatever. Guys, Prismatic is such a generational set. In a lot of ways, you can even argue it's more generational than 151. Now, I know 151's just fully Gen 1 and everyone just cares about that stuff. But Prismatic, there's so many factors to it that's crazy that it's not comparable to 151. Prismatic came out in a time where scalping, national news, all the stuff talking about this set, that did not happen with 151. Prismatic has God packs, demigod packs. It's crazy. That stuff is not in 151. Prismatic is a not fully, but it's mainly an Eevee set. It has all the Eevees in there. Have you seen other Eevee sets perform extremely well? Hint, hint, Evolving Skies. I know it's not Evolving Skies, but look at how that has performed, and that is mainly expensive because obviously there's some other cards like Rayquaza in Evolving Skies, but the Eevee's in there, right? This is an Eevee set. And then lastly, which is the most important thing, look at the value. Prismatic's total set value is like $8,000. The most expensive card's $1,400. 151, what's the total set value? I believe it's like $1,200. The most expensive card, low 200s, the Charizard. In my opinion, there's no comparison. Prismatic, yes, I know there's like a stigma with it because it's the new set that got hyped up. People scalped it. It has a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. People don't like the hard pull rates, whatever. It having also 33 SARs, that is unheard of, right? Prismatic is going to go down as a generational set in Scarlet and Violet. I feel like when you think about Scarlet and Violet, obviously Destined Rivals maybe you talked about, but people are going to think about 151 and Prismatic. But Prismatic is the more crazier set than 151. I know 151 is going to hit people with nostalgia, but Prismatic overall, in my opinion, is a way better set. Just look at the value. It's so obvious in my opinion. The 33 SARs, I even forgot Master Balls, Pokeballs. This has so much going for it that 151 doesn't. I know 151, it goes back to the nostalgia thing, but Prismatic overall, if you take the bias out the way, it's a way better set. I'm putting it at the top. I really believe it deserves it. Even after it's been released. It's been like 3 months now. The total set value, it's everything so strong about this set. It's really hard to say it's bad. Obviously, if you're trying to open it up, it's atrocious, but as a set and what it has to offer, this is the best set so far. Now moving on, Journey Together. So this is a very interesting one. Journey Together's performance obviously recently has been sort of lackluster with sales volume and just overall sentiment. There's not a lot of hype. I feel like Journey Together is just completely forgotten about, to be honest. You know, I'm basing it off of sets here, but I've talked about the enhanced booster box and how that could possibly really affect the investability if they reprint it with no enhanced feature. That could be a thing, but I'm trying to base it just off the sets here, just to sort of have like a even ground as a set. I really think the Lily's Clefairy and all these other cards are really great. The IRs are really great. I would put Journeys Together. I don't know. It feels weird to put Paldean Fates this high, but a lot of people like the Bubble Mew. I think Journey probably belongs right here above Temporal. I think that's fair. Let me know. Is that fair, or do you think Temporal is better? I think the IRs are really great in Journey Together. I think Lily's Clefairy is a lot better than pretty much everything in Temporal. I don't know. I'm putting it at this point right here at B because I don't know. It's really hard to put it. I want to put it at A, but the performance and everything we're seeing and just the general sentiment, the hype, it has died out a ton. It's hard to put it at A. So I think this is pretty fair putting it at B, just top B. I think that's fair. Lastly, Destined Rivals. Now, Destined Rivals a little bit hard to say because obviously we don't really know any prices or anything going on, but we have recently got all of those cards revealed. Pretty much everything. I think there's maybe a few cards, but the main part, the Team Rocket part, we've gotten revealed. So now I can make a somewhat more accurate kind of, I guess, ranking for the set. So, like I said, it's not out yet, so I'm just basing it off of, we know the Mewtwo. I know there's mixed opinions about that. The Moltres out as well. I would put this, it's definitely better than Surging. I would put this, it could honestly go above 151, but I can't. I'm going to put this above Surging. I believe this is a pretty fair rating. 151, I think, is just more nostalgic. Even though Destined Rivals has the hype, I feel like people are disappointed with that Mewtwo. But I think overall, still, it's just a better set than Surging. But it's nowhere near as good as Prismatic, though. I can't think about it this way. Can you imagine Destined Rivals set value being $8,000? Like you just can't, right? The most expensive main set I still believe is Surging Sparks, and it's like $1,500. I don't think anything's going to come close to Prismatic in this era. That's just my opinion. Because I don't think there's going to be any set that has 33 SARs and no IRs. So here's my tier list. Let me know what you think. Is this weird? Is this agreeable, or am I just crazy? I think this is pretty fair. There might be, the only things I can see people arguing, maybe putting Journey Together, maybe an A, maybe putting, I don't know, Paldea at S tier, but I feel like there'd be too many at S tier. Maybe putting, I don't know, maybe people would put 151 above Prismatic, but there's so much with Prismatic. It's so hard to argue, in my opinion, that 151's a better set other than just it's nostalgic. But yeah, that's my tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's fair? And like I said, I'm basing this off of just the set alone and sort of the market's reaction and how the market's been going with these sets. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.